What we're looking at here is the last remnants of the factory bumper on the Project Pale Horse JKU. We're going to be removing the factory bumper and replacing it with a Motobilt frame chop rear bumper. Based off the name, you could probably guess we're going to have to chop the frame. We cut a few inches off the end of the frame here. You'll see later in the video, the jig is going to come down about like this and over and down. It's going to take the bumper, all this overhang here, it's going to suck the vast majority of that tight to the body. Much better departure angle. Only downside, we'll be losing our trailer hitch, but look, that's a lot of departure angle we're losing because of that trailer hitch. And I'm going to build one anyway, so I'll get into that later. But basically, to install this bumper, you get to remove the factory bumper, cut out the rear cross member. You got to install a new cross member that Motobilt provides, which I've taken the liberty to go ahead and primer and paint here a few days ago, and left the areas where we're going to have to weld it to the chassis plain metal. So take a couple body mounts out, put this cross member in, we'll burn them in place after we bolt it in, and then pretty much put the bumper on after that. Here we go. Alright, so as you see here, just remove these two factory 15mm bolts from the bumper, and I can take what's left of my bumper off. Really not much to it. Just a piece of friggin' plastic, that's it. See what's holding it on. A couple little bent sheet metal hinges there. Now, granted, I cut the ends off of mine, the end caps. There'll be a couple more bolts holding on, but that's all there is to your bumper. It's just chintzy plastic, and that's it. And then we're left with the cross member and the trailer hitch here. One thing, make sure before you're going to cut on this or anything, obviously you got to take off your tow hook. And on the back side of your cross member, you have the wiring for your trailer hitch if you get the tow package. So remove that fully from the cross member. Anything else that might be attached to it, because you're going to end up having to cut it off here at the chassis and here as well. Through here, through here. Shouldn't be too tough. I'm gonna get to it. Alright, so I got the hacking on the factory rear cross member, removing it, and I stopped at the point where we can do a ceremonial kick out. Before I do that, tools I used a combination of a 4.5 inch cutoff disc on an angle grinder. Did my initial cuts on this and some of the welds. Then I took a Sawzall and cut the rest of the way. And the only part is right here along these body mounts. I got fancy and I busted out the old plasma cutter and just zipped them across. That way I had a nice straight line and wasn't all jankety coming out. You can see that. Focus. There we go. So same thing on this side. We're definitely at the point of no return. Here we go. See if we get on the first kick. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, buddy. Got him. All right. Getting lighter by the minute. Stay tuned. There's a little trick that helps too when you're trying to get some of these brackets off. So basically, when I cut it off with the Sawzall and whatnot, I had just the bracketry left. Little tiny bits along the frame here. A lot of this has to come off, so what you can do, take your angle grinder, and you cut right on the inside of the factory welds with the angle grinder. And I cut along the top already. See, I've already been prying on this. I got myself a pry bar, adjustable wrench. You take a pry bar and you start it up to get like where it is right there. You take your adjustable wrench, put them on that metal, cinch them down. You can kind of work them back and forth to fatigue the metal. She snaps off, and you're left with minimal grinding that's required. So I think these pieces here are okay. I'm not gonna have to take those off. I might just kind of cut an edge on them, make it look a little bit better, but that's pretty much out of the way. So you see, you really don't have a whole lot you got to grind down with a flap disc. I'm using a 60 grit 4.5 inch flap disc, and it's working pretty quick. So you see I cut inside the weld here, and same thing on the bottom. Not a lot left to cut or to grind. This side I already put the jig on. You can see where it's going to be cut. So all this portion here is going to be gone. and actually it's right to that part right there. So I really don't even have to take that out unless it interferes with the bumper. Let me show you the jig. So this jig, it comes flat. You just got to bend it up by hand. It's really simple. And you're supposed to line up these oval holes here with the oval holes in the chassis. So it's probably not going to line up yet because I haven't ground it down. But you slide them on and line the holes up. You make it even with the flush with the frame in the back. You just trace it out, and that's what you cut. It's pretty simple. Check back in a bit. So here's something you're definitely going to run into with mounting your body mount bolts back into your cross member when you're doing this frame chop bumper cross member that's in here. Shout out to Kyle McCarthy. He about 10 months ago did a video on installing one of these bumpers, and he said that his bolts, because the washers would not fit through the opening, it's kind of like a oval shape, if you want to call it that, or something else. Yep. So basically what you got to do, he ended up grinding on the cross member itself, but I decided to just make me some mongoloid bolts. So yeah, they're kind of gnarly looking. You could get nicer with that. You try drawing on it and cutting it even and all that stuff, but you know what? It's a body mount bolt. It's not that big a deal. So this is how I decided to cut mine. But it's kind of like playing Tetris. You just got to get it in the right position so she'll clear. Give them a little pop, and she's in. From there I can tighten it up, and it's good to go. I already got the other side drove all the way in. Coming together nicely. We're tacked up. Almost ready for finish welding. Another thing in the Motobilt instructions, make sure you have this notch on the top of the cross member facing aft. And on the top. These threaded inserts that are already in here, there's a row across the back. 3 of them. Those are for the frame chop bumper itself, and I guess they have a rear fuel cell you can get from Motobilt, and that's what the skid plate is for these forward 3 holes. Or you can use it for wherever you want. Get right down to it. So locked up pretty good. Let's get her done. All right, got her all welded up, got the frame caps welded in, I got the cross member fully welded in. Took a grinder to her, tuned him up, and she's ready for paint now. So let's take a look at it real quick. Turned out pretty nice. Like the instructions say, you want the bottom of the cross member to be flush with the bottom of the end caps, and both sides meet that. Nice and touched up. Over here. One thing in hindsight, what I should have done was there was a considerable gap between the cross member and then the back side of the body mount. So what I decided to do in my infinite wisdom was pad beads. I ran like 4 or 5 beads until I could actually get to make contact with the bracket there. But what I should have done was take a BFH and beat the piss out of it until it got closer to the cross member, and then I weld it. So if any of y'all are doing this at home, word of the wise, that's what I recommend doing. So you don't make the same mistake I did, but it's still going to work. Get her welded up underneath. Ready to rock and roll. So you can see how it's going to be. Super tight profile of the frame, or to the tub. Piece of cake. So she looks like from the back. Now all I gotta do is get the bumper back from powder coat. We'll bolt her in and she'll be complete after I paint it. Alright, let's fast forward a few days. Got the bumper back from powder coat today and slapped her on there. So this is the Motobilt frame chop rear bumper. Fully installed. Very nice slim profile to the tub. See how she hangs up in there? Nice and tight. Hella ground clearance now. So 3 grade 8 bolts came with it. Still using the factory 10.9 bolts. And there, I'll probably replace those with some, that's the same thing as grade 8 anyway. Actually, as you were, they're like grade 5 equivalent. 12.9, the grade 8 equivalents. So, Savannah powder coat, did a real good job powder coating her for me. I think it looks really good. So, no. Tell me what you think. You want to leave a comment. I'm happy with it. Till next time, thanks for watching. Wait for it. Wait for it. That's right.